Dr. Phil is back with all new shows recorded before the stay-at-home order. Today, her husband is an addict.
I just did my last shot of heroin.
If Mike does not accept Dr. Phil's help, Mike will be homeless.
From an overdose.
Mike, you're not breathing. Mike.
Oh.
I've never seen that video. What am I going to have to tell our daughter when you're gone?
To an ultimatum.
You need to make a decision, and you need to make it today. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Mike and his fiancée, Ashley, have a beautiful home, a sweet 6-year-old daughter, and a baby boy on the way. But there's a dark secret tearing them apart. Just last week, Ashley was at the courthouse picking up paperwork to evict her fiancé. Now today, she even brought the papers with her. Ashley is embarrassed and exhausted by Mike's drug habit, which he tries to hide from his daughter, yet Mike appears very proud of his addiction because this was a selfie video he made just a few days ago. Take a look at this.
So I just did my last shot of heroin. Fortunately, my wife was mad at me because I needed to go get another fix again. And so I went and she thought I was getting pills, but I was getting heroin.
Ashley says she doesn't know what it will take to get through to Mike, but she says today is his last chance. And my question is, what will it take to get through to her? How did it get this bad for Mike? Take a look.
Mike's addiction has gotten so bad to the point where I feel like he's going to die.
My tolerance is so high, I'm gonna end up overdosing.
Mike injects prescription medication, and heroin and cocaine.
I enlisted in the Marines in 2010. During the second phase of boot camp is when I fell and hurt my back. And subsequent L5 quad fractures treated with a regimen of opioids and muscle relaxants. Because of the amount of drugs that they were giving me, I became extremely addicted. I feel the rush from heroin, but it's nothing like the Lauded. I'm having to do 3-4 pills in one shot multiple times a day. So switching to the heroin, I could stretch that out to about maybe a day or two, but now it's only lasting me for like a day. And when I wake up the next day with nothing, I'm a monster.
He fiends and he sees red.
Yesterday, I was pretty desperate for drugs. I asked Ashley if she would give me the money, and she told me no. So I went out and sat behind the car so she couldn't leave. And I said, I can go and break every window in the house. And then she sent the money.
Mike has stolen my iPad, TVs, computer multiple times. He's stolen money.
A few years back, I robbed someone at gunpoint in the middle of McDonald's drive-thru.
Mike has been arrested 3 times.
Jail definitely doesn't scare me. Damn sure I haven't learned my lesson.
What are you doing?
Calling my heroin dealer.
This isn't the life that I want to live.
So let me ask you, when was your last fix?
Yesterday. I actually left the hotel and took the metro line down to Skid Row so that I could score some heroin on Skid Row.
Right. What time?
4:30.
And you just got enough for one?
To get me through to yesterday, last night, and then I haven't had anything today.
Okay. You getting jittery?
Not yet.
When are you going to tell her the truth? You have no intentions of stopping.
I do have it. I need to stop.
Come on. You can wool her around and blow smoke at her, but you can't blow smoke at me. You're stealing from her. When you steal from her, you're stealing from your daughter.
Stealing from my family.
And I watched this video you made. So this is fun and games, right?
It's not fun and games.
Well, let's play the video.
So I just did my last shot of heroin. Fortunately, My wife was mad at me because I needed to go get another fix again. And so I went, and she thought I was getting pills, but I was getting heroin.
I'm so disappointed.
But you say you don't want to know, right? You said you don't realize when he steals from you. You don't know about the street drugs, where he goes when he leaves. You didn't know about the overdosing. You say you don't really want to know.
It's not that I don't really want to know, it's that he keeps it from me. He will tell me that he is going to work, and he's gone for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, comes back.
I do a very good job at hiding it.
He does a very good job of hiding it.
Only if you don't want to see the truth. Come on. Ashley says she doesn't really know what drugs Mike takes or how he gets them. In fact, she had no idea he overdosed recently until he showed her this home video.
I've overdosed about 3 times. The most recent one was about 3 weeks ago.
I'm about to Narcan out of you right now. Stop. You're not breathing. Mike. Oh.
So for that night, I did probably like a 0.3 of a shot, and I was having these crazy hallucinations, and it was awesome. I never experienced that before in my life. So the next morning, we go and pick up the rest of the other ½ gram. Well, the amount that I did that last night, coupled with the shot that I did that morning, I instantly overdosed.
Mike. Niggs. Come on. Yo. For real? I'm about to Narcan you. Breathe.
I definitely didn't learn anything because I still did that same batch of heroin.
Okay, now, what do you see when you see that?
I don't see the man that I don't see the man that I chose to be with. I've never seen that video.
Okay, how far along are you?
I'm 7 months.
7 months. And how long you been doing heroin?
Just past 2 months.
How long you been on drugs?
7 years on my pain pills.
So you've known he's an addict for how long?
About 6 years.
So enlighten me why you chose to get pregnant with a second child.
Mike was, he was clean for a period of time. I thought that he would have learned. I wanted my family to be together. I wanted to have, I wanted to have this man that loves me and cares about me and everything that you want in a husband. I wanted him to see that he could be that. And he just hasn't. He just hasn't.
But you wanted him to be.
I did, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I got this picture perfect family or life, and I would always go back to using to run away from things, run away from things that I never was able to get off my chest and then overcome.
Well, there's one good thing. When we come back, Mike says he hides his drug addiction from his daughter, and in fact, he says he's a good father. So at least we have that. He's a good father. Right after the break.
At Christmas time, Mike was not able to open up presents with our daughter. I told her Daddy was sick.
I'm a full-blown addict. I'm a junkie.
And later, do you think she'll resent you when your daughter's in foster care? You think she'll resent you when they take this one at the hospital and put it in foster care?
Be able to forgive myself.
It's time for you to man up, buddy.
At this point, I'll pay any kind of money to get Mike evicted. I was on the way to the courthouse to evict Mike, and the only reason why I did not get there was because of Dr. Phil. Instead of going to the courthouse, I called my mother-in-law, and I told Mike as well about this opportunity. If Mike does not accept Dr. Phil's help, Mike will be homeless.
Well, from the outside, Mike and his fiancée, Ashley, make a beautiful couple, right? And they look like they have a picture-perfect life. But underneath the smiles, Mike's hiding his drug addiction. He thinks well from his daughter. I think differently, but take a look.
My daughter thinks that Mike is the best man in the world.
When I do have the drugs, I feel like I'm normal and I can be there. I can play, ride bikes, whether ride scooters, I do whatever because I'm not sick.
And now I'm gonna put the crib together because I'm high.
Mike tells my daughter that he's going to work when he's going out to find drugs.
I spend more time trying to get drugs and sell and hustle than I do at home.
Because of drugs and jail time, Mike has missed Christmas events at school. He has missed some dance events. I try not to involve him anymore because I don't want my daughter's heart to break. At Christmas time, Mike was not able to open up presents with our daughter. I told her Daddy was sick.
She just thinks that Daddy just needs to go to the hospital so that he can get fixed.
I'm a full-blown addict. I'm a junkie.
It would break my heart if my daughter became a drug addict or was with one because I know how painful this is.
Define good father for me.
Good father minus the drugs.
Yeah, well, but the drugs are there. So define good father.
I take care of my daughter. I play with her. Get her food, get her up in the morning.
Okay, so you play with her and get her food.
I show my daughter unconditional love when I'm not sick.
When you're not sick. Have you taken her on a drug run?
No.
Have you told her you were going to show up when you didn't?
Yes.
You spent 60 days in jail for drugs on one occasion in 2013.
Correct. Yes, sir.
You spent 8 months in jail in 2015. Then you were arrested in November of last year, and that's still pending. You're waiting trial on that, right?
Correct.
You've actually robbed someone at gunpoint before, right?
A couple years ago, yes, sir, I did.
Yeah. You sold your daughter's iPad. What'd you do with that?
Pawned it.
He's been stoned in front of your daughter on numerous occasions, right?
Yes, he has.
You understand the definition of negligence?
I do.
Fail to protect a child in his or her care from inflicted physical, mental, or sexual injury caused by the acts of another. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's hurting her when he says he'll be there and he won't? You think he's is a danger when he shows up completely stoned and is around her? You think that's high risk?
Yeah, I do. He's breaking her heart. I have eviction papers. I was going to evict him. I have them with me today. Because I don't want to deal with this anymore. I can't take it anymore.
Well, why would she have to go to the courthouse and get papers to evict you?
Because he refuses to leave.
I don't want to leave because when I am clean, life is great.
Do you think she'll resent you when your daughter's in foster care?
Oh, yeah.
You think she'll resent you when they take this one at the hospital and put it in foster care?
Be able to forget myself.
It's time for you to man up, buddy. When we come back, Mike says he kept a dark secret from his mother for many years. We're going to meet her. We'll hear what she has to say next.
I don't believe that Ashley knew about Mike's drug problem until after she got pregnant. The morning that she gave birth to my granddaughter, she was calling me hysterical.
He was using in the bathroom at the hospital.
I remember being in the main bathroom with him, and he just broke down crying.
And later, what's your thought?
I'm angry.
So your daughter's good father is a confessed and, in fact, braggadocious drug dealer.
I was 4 to 5 years old when I started being sexually abused. When I was young, I just thought it was normal, but obviously nothing about that's normal. The biggest problem I had was trying to pretend it never happened. I use drugs as a crutch, so I'm numb, so I don't feel the pain I felt realizing that what happened to me when I was little. It just helps me not to feel anything.
Well, for Mike, it wasn't just a broken back that led him down this erratic and reckless lifestyle of drugs. His mother, Lori, says she never could have imagined her son growing up to be an addict.
Growing up, my son Mike had it all.
I was the popular kid, friends with everybody, great athlete, good at everything. Teachers love me, parents love me.
I never, ever, ever would have expected my son Mike to become addicted to anything.
It literally controls every aspect of my life. And it sucks.
After Mike got out of the Marines, we were told by my youngest son that Mike was now using a needle for his drugs. So I don't believe that Ashley knew about Mike's drug problem until after she got pregnant.
When we became pregnant with our daughter, the drug use didn't get worse, but it became way more known that I was using hard drugs.
The morning that she gave birth to my granddaughter, I was there. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I went home, and about 10:30, she was calling me hysterical.
He was using in the bathroom at the hospital. I cannot believe that he's doing this to me right now. I obviously could not walk or get up, so I called his mother.
I remember being in the main bathroom with him, and he just broke down crying. As a mother would think that having a child would be enough for you not to do things like that. But he's so stuck right now. He has no way out. He doesn't have it in him to do it.
Just like I told myself when we went and got it, I wasn't gonna do a big shot, but you see how that turned out.
Well, Lori, you've been listening to everything we've been talking about so far.
I cannot go on any longer. If something doesn't change, my granddaughter is gonna come live with me. It has to stop. He hides everything so well.
Your addiction is hindering me from being a mom.
He hides it from you two, apparently. You two are the only one that are apparently functionally blind. As I've been reading through, he doesn't even make much of an effort to hide it. Did you know that when you were giving birth to your daughter?
No, I didn't know until I saw him in the bathroom for a long period of time with the door closed. And I assumed that's what he was doing.
What were you shooting up?
The lauded.
And you say you don't believe in tough love.
When I was married to his father, it was very hard for me to see them. My husband would be throw him out the door, you know. I mean, they're my children. I love them.
You love them, and so?
I don't want to see them on the streets. I don't want to see them suffer.
Well, you changed in the middle of that sentence. You were talking about your children, then you started talking about you. Okay. You were talking about your drug addict son, and in the middle of the sentence, you started talking about what you wanted. So you're basically saying that you've been enabling him because it makes you feel better. You don't want to see him on the street. You don't want the anxiety of him having to deal with the reality of what he's doing to himself. So you give him a roof, you give him a place to fall, you do whatever you have to do to feel better.
That's in the past. I can't have that under my roof. I can't live that life anymore. Ashley can't live this life anymore.
You've kicked him out 3 or 4 times, but yet you let him right back in.
After being clean and sober for periods of time.
But you know he's clean because he tells you.
Yes, You're right. And then I would think maybe he would continue on this path and I would be okay.
You can't believe a word an addict says.
You're right. You're
You should have learned that
right.
by now. If his lips are
You're
moving,
right.
he's lying. And if his
You're
hands
right.
are moving, he's stealing.
You're right.
Right.
Yep.
Coming up, Mike says he's not only addicted to drugs, but he's addicted to the game of getting drugs. He'll tell us about that next.
The pill game is a constant hustle. People will call me, they want a 10-pack of pills.
Someone needs some subs.
So I'll charge like 50, 100 bucks more and get a couple for free. Street price is like 150 bucks.
Now I gotta go bring these to the guy who bought them.
Not just from the outside looking in, but being on the inside. I do have it all. We just built this house. I have a beautiful fiance who's pregnant with our first son. I have a 6-year-old who idolizes me, and she always sends me messages when I leave at night. I love you, Daddy. You're the best daddy in the whole wide world. And a lot of people would do anything to have the family that I have. And then I'm sitting here using drugs, throwing it all away. And I probably won't be here much longer.
Well, Mike does have it all. He could have it all. But Ashley says he's throwing it all away on his quest for drugs.
I'm not addicted just to the drugs. I'm addicted to the lifestyle. The pill game is a constant hustle, just as it would be with cocaine, heroin. If I didn't do any of my pills, I get 112, sell 100. At 30, that's $3 grand. And then I used to sponsor people too. So I would take this girl to her doctor, pay for her doctor, pay for her script, and then I would get her script in return. So she would make about 1,100 bucks, pay for her doctor and her script to get out, which is like another 300. So out of 1,400 bucks, I would get her whole script. So I would double my money, if not more. We do that with 2, 3, 4 people a month, almost $8 grand from them. And then also, it's people will call me, they want a 10-pack of pills.
I got someone called me while we were waiting for the heroin dealer. Someone needs some subs.
So I'll charge like 50, 100 bucks more and get a couple for free. Plus they'll break me off for doing it. So I'll make like 4 or 5 pills out of it. Street price is like 150 bucks.
Now I gotta go bring these to the guy who bought them.
You have to dedicate almost your whole day to doing that. It's a full-time job and it's hard to sell your DOC, your drug of choice, and not do it.
My Dilaudid honestly feels better than sex.
What's your thought?
And I'm angry.
So your daughter's good father is a confessed and, in fact, braggadocious drug dealer. He's not just a user, he's not just an addict, he's a dealer. Confessed drug dealer.
It's hard to hear. It's hard to hear. It's hard to see. I've never seen him use.
You have now.
I have now, yeah.
He said, and I quote, "I don't believe in spending money on a wedding until we get ourselves together, and the drugs are being put first right now. I lie to Ashley, but I think it's better than me saying I'm going to get high. I'll be clean when I have a newborn, so I'll be a better father." He's just going to flip a switch. My daughter never knows when I'm using because I'm not using to get high, I'm using to function. I think my daughter would describe me as the best daddy in the world. She tells me every day.
She loves you.
She does.
Yeah, well, she can speak glowingly at his funeral when he overdoses.
You're right. What am I gonna have to tell our daughter when you're gone? A son that will never meet you or know the good Mike.
But it's fun, right? You run these drugs and you get this person to get a script, figure out, get $8,000 here and there. It's all big game.
Yeah.
Until it's not. Coming up, Mike says that he can't stay clean. He tells us what triggers him to go back to a life of drugs. We're going to meet another individual here in a minute. He's a former opioid addict. He's now 12 years sober. He says if he can do it, so can Mike. I don't know. We'll hear from him, though. We'll be right back.
I can't get clean for anybody but me, and I know that. So like trying to say I'm gonna get clean for my daughter, and yes, I would love to be clean for my son when he gets here. I want to be clean and sober. And I wish I was clean and sober right now talking to you, but I haven't been able to stay clean.
I have my pills, I have my heroin. It's freaking game over.
That's the problem, is staying clean.
Well, Ashley says she doesn't know what it will take to get through to Mike, but today she says it's his last chance, or she is kicking him to the curb. I want Mike to hear from someone who I know can relate. Dan Paris was the editor-in-chief of men's magazine Details for 15 years, but for almost half of those glamorous years at the helm, Dan was battling a severe opioid addiction himself. He was popping 60 Vicodin pills a day. He certainly contemplated doing heroin. In his new memoir, As Needed for Pain, he reveals how his addiction all started.
I had a back injury. I was prescribed the drugs and started abusing them within a matter of weeks.
Mike's had 4 surgeries?
Yes, sir. 4 back surgeries, L5-S1, spinal fusion.
Same. Not the fusion, but L5-S1, yeah. I was in exactly the same place you were in, and I know how dark and lonely and terrifying it is. I really do. This is difficult for me to watch.
And he thinks he's functional. You functioned as well. I mean, as your career was on the rise, so was your intake.
That's right. I couldn't get out of bed without them. I absolutely needed them. I mean, I know how that feels. I know how what running out feels like, and going through that withdrawal, and listening to you talk about how irritable you become when you don't have them. When you, like, we define that as being sick. The addiction isn't the sickness to us. It's the running out that's the sickness. Right.
You heard me tell Ashley, you cannot believe an addict. If their lips are moving, they're lying. You were a master at lying to doctors, yourself, those in your family. Talk about that a little bit.
It is an elaborate con. Everything that I did and said was about getting drugs. They were my only priority. And so we lie to protect the addiction, to make sure that no one discovers that we're addicts. We lie to continue to get more and more. We lie to get you off of our backs. My wife at the time was pregnant with our first child, and I was still actively using.
You got clean when she was 6 months pregnant with a boy.
That's correct.
How'd you go about that?
I was ready, so it's important for me to say that. I was ready. I wanted to be done. My then wife discovered that I was doing it, and she did what you should do and what you should do, which is get out. And I detoxed, and I had 1 day's relapse, and I've been sober since. That was 2007.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Well, Ashley says today is Mike's last chance. She's ready to kick him out of the house if he doesn't get sober. Now, author Dan Paris says even he's not sure if Mike is ready yet, and you made a very astute distinction between being ready and saying you're ready, because you can't believe an addict. And he may have surrendered his life and his will to this addiction. You have not. And so you need to make a decision, and you need to make it clear, and you need to make it today. You know, it's interesting. I always ask people when they come, you know, what is your specific question for me? And you know, your specific question for me was really what to do with him.
Is he salvageable?
Yeah, is he salvageable? Should I stay involved with him, or should I not? And I can tell you, as we sit here today, the answer is not just no, but hell no.
Yeah.
You have an undivided loyalty and responsibility to your children. He is a threat to those children. He is a high-risk candidate to be in their lives. You have to protect them from him. Now, maybe he's ready to get clean, maybe he's not. But until he does, you don't have a choice.
I know.
Because you're negligent if you continue to expose your daughter or your soon-to-arrive son to a confessed drug dealer.
It ends today.
Being a dad, my children, I have 3 boys, have only ever known me as a sober dad. And it is the biggest blessing in the world, not just for me, but for them also. Here's your chance.
So what do you want?
I want to get past my demons. I want to be the father that I am when I'm clean. I want to get rid of this monster that's on my back. And I don't want to feel like I'm not worthy of being alive anymore.
I will introduce you and your family to the co-owner and CEO, Marcia Stone, and the director of nursing, Aaron Ball, from BRC Recovery. Now, I've worked with BRC for a long time. They focus on resolving trauma and challenging the harmful belief systems in the context of a world-class substance abuse treatment. And BRC is considered one of the leaders in the treatment industry nationwide. And he's got wounds from way early in his life that have never been healed, and things that are going to have to be dealt with simultaneously with the addiction. Can you guys help him?
We absolutely can. We're going to start with detox for you, and then you're going to go through the trauma intensive program. This is going to be a long process. Our goal really here is to help you be able, as a father and as a husband, as a son, to match your intentions with your actions.
And you guys are clear, he breaks out of this program, he cannot come home.
No, absolutely.
You're not a soft place to fall.
Nope.
Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Because if he does, you understand the consequences for you as a mother.
I understand the consequences.
Okay. All right. All right. A special thanks to Marcia Stone and Aaron Ball and BRC Recovery, and a real special thanks to Dan Paris. You know, you've really been down this path, and I appreciate you sharing it. His new memoir is As Needed for Pain. And by the way, everybody in the audience is going home with a copy, okay? Coming up, we have another doctor in the house with an exciting announcement. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. And speaking of the doctors, Emmy Award-winning host Travis Stork has been with the show since it launched 12 years ago. He's covered everything from top health trends, exclusive and celebrity interviews, and also managed to save a few lives along the way. Take a look.
Doctor, give me the news.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Doctor.
Dr. Travis Stork.
Sometimes being a doctor means facing tough issues head on.
Dr. Stork, you have a call on line 1.
So this is a level 1 trauma. Patient currently fell.
What's your name, sir?
This is your life. That's why I came to the doctors. We knew we could change people's lives. Come on out. The epidemic putting parents on high alert. Vaping, what started as a trend, has become a public health crisis.
My chest was completely caving in on itself.
Measles mania on the doctor. It only takes one person with measles to put countless people at risk.
People don't know just how sick this virus can make you or how dead it can make you.
It's money versus medicine. For us doctors, we don't realize how broken the system is until we become patients. I'm taking care of a really young girl. The building actually collapsed and crushed her right lower extremity. For the first time in public here today, are you up for that?
Got this. This is scary.
You got this. We always try to do it on the show. Actively teach people how to save lives. The song Staying Alive is actually the perfect rhythm to give chest compressions. Ready? So,
Staying alive, staying alive.
A lot of people are out there trying to reach out to different shows to have a voice, and you guys have done that for us, so thank you.
it's a day in the life. You never know what you're going to see. And in the end, I feel like this is what I was meant to do.
Well, please welcome New York Times #1 best-selling author Travis Stork with an exciting announcement.
Hello, sir.
How you doing, man?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Have a seat.
Thank you all.
Well, how are you?
I'm good. Looking back at that montage, I didn't have gray hair back then, Dr. Phil.
Well, it's been a long time. In full disclosure, I'm executive producer of The Doctors, and so Travis and I have been colleagues for 12 years now. And I tell you, he does a great job. If you don't watch The Doctors, you should start, because it's a great show, and congratulations on having so much success with that.
Thank you.
And we're always looking for ways to get the message out in different ways, and you've got some news you want to talk about.
We are launching a podcast with me as the host.
All right, I like that.
One of the great things about the podcast format is that you're not limited by time. And, you know, what I've always believed is you can read a headline, but what's behind that headline? Yeah. And what is the true insight? And one of the beauties of my job in life is I'm an ER doctor, so I've learned how to take care of everything. But then when it comes to hosting The Doctors, I've had to read so much, educate myself, and I like to take the headline, dig a little deeper, provide insight. So the goal is to have interesting guests, interesting topics, but also to share a little bit about what my thoughts are, what my opinion is, what I'm going to do in reaction to either a headline or maybe something that a guest is doing in their own lives. Because if I've learned nothing else in this life, and it's been such a blessing, I never expected to be on TV. I never expected to be hosting a podcast. But now in this chair and in hosting this podcast, I'm able to teach people how to hopefully live a longer, better life. Yeah. And that's ultimately my goal.
Yeah. Well, The Doctors is currently in its 12th season. Do you have any moments that really jump out at you when you look back over those 12 years?
Wow. Interestingly, the moment I think back to is when my dog Nala, who I adopted in med school, came on the show, and she came trotting out on that stage. I said, "Nala, come!" And she's trotting out on stage, and we did a segment where I was teaching people how to brush their dog's teeth. I'm sitting there with Nala, who, you know, unfortunately has since passed, and we're on that stage, and it's like we had a moment together. Here we are, Nala. You know, here we are. You're teaching people, and I'm teaching people too. You have to stop showing this because I may cry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's tough to lose them. I know that for sure. Now, you were married last August, and you are expecting a baby, right?
We are. A lot has changed. So, my wife Paris and I are expecting in early June. And we are having a baby boy.
Oh, a boy, okay.
So I'm open for advice.
Yeah. Well, I have one piece of advice for you. Talk to Robin.
I will. Thank you. I promise I will not call after midnight.
Well, one thing I know is you are unafraid to talk politics in relation to health and pop culture, personal life, marriage, kids. And one of the things that you do that I hope you will continue on the podcast is blowing up myths.
I promise you that. And I will tell you this as well. When we started The Doctors 12 years ago, we talked about making it the gold standard when it comes to providing health information. I've always taken that very seriously. And so with the podcast, you know, there's so many myths out there. There are so many miscalculations. And I can't fix all the myths, but I will do my best. And really quickly, if I may.
You may.
My first guest is awesome.
Really? Who is it?
Dr. Phil!
What a setup. What a setup. I love it. All right, I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks, of course, to Travis Stork, host of The Doctors, and now the podcast with Travis Stork. And you can find it streaming on all major podcast platforms, so be sure to check it out. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. Don't forget, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I read all of your comments. We will see you next time. All right, thanks.
Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/69WFMZ.
Bounce, bounce, all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out. Bounce, 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 all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out.
You warned me 1,000 times, memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was still a storm. I've always been naive, call it.
You know we gon'